The truth of the matter is, of course, that the real reason why we're in Syria, and largely that region, is to carry out wars for the state of Israel. The Jewish state of Israel has a long-term agenda of the Greater Israel Project, and to destabilize the surrounding nations and making sure that there is no form of representative Arab nationalist unity in which a strong leadership that represents the true interests of the people can emerge, and that the people themselves can enjoy some form of dignity and liberty in their lives. It's the West that has created the hotbed of takfiri, fake Islam, that allows these psychopaths to be armed by our governments and our allies, Qatar and Saudi Arabia first among them. And these psychopaths, of course, are not completely predictable. They will do a lot of what we like, but let's make no mistake about it. These people are nothing more than Frankensteins that we've created, and it will come back to the West. And this is one very last point I need to make in this regard, is that that's actually part of what the Western agenda wants. When these psychopaths return to the West, we will then use their violent actions back in London or in America or other parts of Europe to justify even further draconian laws, so that our governments can become even more tyrannical and the concentration of power can become even tighter. So they know this is going to happen, and those of us who have any kind of intelligence whatsoever can see this as it's happening.
Lee Kaplan.
So the fact is that Syria is nothing more than a global chessboard agenda, and in that agenda there is a goal of destabilizing these nations surrounding Israel. Once they're destabilized, it is possible to go in, whether it's a year from now, 5 years from now, and get your puppets in place to be able to extract the resources, to be able to put in permanent military bases, and ultimately to have continuing and ongoing complete control over this region, which of course has profound utility for the purposes of empire, specifically with the energy reserves, and again with permanent military bases that will continue the policy of full spectrum dominance. There's no confusion here. Those of us who care about this world and actually want to see it move for the better are recognizing the obvious history of our birth nations in the West and what they have done. We are the biggest criminals of all, and it is us in the West who need to take care of our governments, because ultimately we are complicit with their crimes, and these crimes can hardly be measured. They are that hideous and they are that consistent. And this is why the American people need to realize that your sons and daughters are more valuable than what Israel intends to do with them. You don't need to fight any more wars for Israel. You don't need a foreign state dictating to your government, which swore to uphold the U.S. Constitution, what policies should be carried out, especially wars for Israel. And the American people are going to suffer more than anyone else in the end if they don't get their house in order. The fact is that the United States of America, sadly and shamelessly, has been running roughshod over the world. And when we talk about terrorism, it is beyond ridiculous to talk about America fighting a war on terror. The American nation has been responsible for state-sponsored terrorism that has resulted in the death of probably 2 to 4 million people in Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia, countless people in Korea, countless people through proxy wars in Central and South America, 2 million perhaps in Iraq. I don't know how many thousands and thousands in Afghanistan, proxy wars in Pakistan, Yemen. So we have fought wars all over the world. Nobody has exterminated the lives and created more suffering than the United States of America. And this is the truth. And at some point, the American people are going to have to face up to this truth, because it does the American people no good whatsoever to continue to bury their heads in the sand.